Welcome back to Thompson's Coins, where today I have a very exciting exclusive all the way from the Hobart Mint. This is the first time since the infamous 1 zillion bucks that I have a new and exciting exclusive release from the Hobart Mint. For anyone that's unfamiliar, Hobart Mint is understandably based in Tasmania, which is the southernmost state of Australia. They have been working tirelessly behind the scenes to bring us some very exciting items, and today we're taking a look at the new Iron Pot release. This is the second release in a run of, I believe it will be 4 different lighthouses will be featured in this series. The artist is Rosie Mural. She is incredibly talented, and I've got to say it's always nice to see what I feel like is a bit of a fresh artistic take on coin design in general, because I think I've become really accustomed to seeing a lot of the traditional art styles that we see in coin design. We then have the likes of the Perth Mint, who do a lot of the really interesting, wildly innovative types of coin design. And then we have some of the material coming out of the Hobart Mint, which I feel like it just adds another texture to the palette of coin collecting. So for me, it's always exciting to see something new and interesting, and this is a great example of just that. And I also need to highlight that I am absolutely privileged to be offering you the first 100 of this release. This is something that for me as a collector, anytime I get a coin that's numbered, it's always quite exciting to have anything within the first 100, even the first 1,000 for large mintage coins. It's always been something that has been a little bit exciting for me and just added that extra little bit of excitement to the collecting journey. So I feel really privileged to have the type of relationship now with Hobart Mint where I can just outright ask them for things like this. I saw the design really early on before it was officially released. Today also marks I suppose it is the official release date, because I'm the first in that sense. And I have a really nice relationship with them where I can say things like, can you give me the first 100? Because I love that type of thing, and I know that a lot of collectors appreciate that as well. And in addition to that, I always love having an extra little point of difference as well. So why don't we actually just take a look so you can see what I'm talking about. I've probably waffled on enough without actually showing you the item in question here. Ta-da! This is the Iron Pot 1 ounce silver release from Hobart Mint. As I mentioned, have the first 100 that were struck. Each certificate is numbered from 1 to 100. Also, and quite exciting, these first 100 are easily identified by the Rosie's monogram. So it's the initials RM, and in the center there we have a lighthouse, which is very topical given that this is a series of lighthouse releases. Now let's take a closer look at the Iron Pot Lighthouse, and I'll regale you with some stories and a little bit of information on Iron Pot. Iron Pot isn't just any lighthouse. Built in 1832, it was the first lighthouse in Tasmania and the second oldest in Australia, and today it stands as the oldest original lighthouse tower in the entire country. Iron Pot is also the first lighthouse in Australia to convert to solar. This took place in 1977, the same year as the Silver Jubilee for any royal enthusiasts out there. When I first heard about this release, I also was curious as to what the origins of the name Iron Pot actually were. Some say that whalers left their iron pots on the island. Other people say that it came from the pot-shaped holes in the rock. And there's another theory that links it to an early whale oil beacon. So I don't have the definitive answer. Perhaps some locals can share a little more insight. Maybe someone can give me the definitive explanation as to how Iron Pot received its name. I think lighthouses make for such an interesting series of collectibles as well, because it's such a key part of Australian history. Now, the need for this particular lighthouse occurred because there were a number of shipwrecks that were occurring in the early 1800s. So in 1833, it was originally a timber structure, which was later upgraded. And early on, it was actually manned by convicts. So it was the type of thing that I think anytime you go down to Tasmania, and I spent a bit of time down there earlier in the year when we had the Money Expo down there, it got down to, I think it was 0 degrees and it was snowing there. So I can't fathom the prospect of manning a lighthouse. They were also sleeping in tents, the people that were manning the lighthouse, in a southern part of Tasmania exposed to all of the elements and sleeping in a tent in order to man a lighthouse with the hopes of preventing any further shipwrecks. It's quite an extraordinary story, and I encourage you to go down the rabbit hole and do a little bit of your own research. Similarly, if you find yourself in Tasmania, you can even do a visit. You can get on a boat and go out and visit Iron Pot, which is something that I will endeavour to do next time I'm in Tasmania. It might even make for an interesting video. I might take one of these first 100 will no longer be around, unfortunately. I'm sure they won't take long to be snapped up by collectors, but maybe I can do something special. I can go and do a visit to Iron Pot, take a selfie up in the lighthouse. I'm not actually sure if you can go in it and visit. Again, maybe someone can clarify in the comments for me whether you can actually go into the lighthouse and see what it's like. Taking a closer look now, the packaging has been upgraded. So if you've had any of the if you're one of the early adopters to the Hobart Mint, you will have received your 1 ounce silver round in it's sort of like a quadrum type capsule, and some of those were a little difficult to keep sealed. So this is absolutely perfect in terms of the name. They are now in Lighthouse flips. So what this also, two things. It's really suitable for long-term storage. Lighthouse is well regarded all over the world with collectors as a perfect option for storage of your collection. Then the other thing that it allows is for you to enjoy and appreciate the reading. This has been specifically done as it's inspired by the ancient Jurassic dolerite tors and columns that are widespread and dominate much of the landscape, particularly in the alpine areas of Tasmania. Flipping over to the obverse, we have the HM initials for Hobart Mint. We also have the words Hobart Mint Silver, as well as the purity, which is 99.99%. The weight, which is 1 ounce on the left-hand side there, and then the year 2025. Something else that I also really like stylistically is the presence of those wavy lines across the fields. When it catches the light, it creates a little bit of a shimmering effect, which is quite nice. And I'll often think, particularly in terms of both the lighthouse theme on this release, as well as the wavy lines, it sort of reminds me of Bass Strait. It makes me think of making that journey on the Spirit of Tasmania from Victoria down to Tasmania. For any international viewers that are watching this at the moment, there's a large ship that does the trip. It's a notoriously rough stretch of water, the Bass Strait, one of the wildest stretches of water in the world. So anytime I can connect those dots and make that connection between water or the elements and Tasmania, it just feels right as far as I'm concerned, both as a collector and artistically. I think it's really appropriate and really nice. So there you go, that's the latest from the Hobart Mint. I can't emphasize enough how much of a privilege it is for me to be able to work closely with them on something like this in terms of bringing you the first 100 all numbered with Rosie's monogram on the certificate. I think things like these are really, really cool, and it represents such a nice connection between the designer, the mint, the retailer, Thompson's Coins being the coin shop that are selling these items. It's a really nice ecosystem in the sense that everyone is represented positively, and I love being a part of that process because I think I've said this, I've told this story before, but I'll let it rip again. This shop was in its infancy. I'm talking, I was sitting cross-legged on the floor. The floor was concrete, the walls were bare. There was a lot of work to be done, but I had seen some of the beautiful items that the Hobart Mint were producing on Instagram. And I picked up the phone and called them up with no real intention. I didn't really have an objective. It was more just to get in touch and say hello. What was going to be a 2-minute phone call, I think we ended up speaking on the phone for about 2 hours. We ended up talking about everything from music to art to obviously coins and all sorts of things. And we really hit it off. So for me, being able to bring limited runs of 100 of a new release from the Hobart Mint, it just feels right. And I really look forward to many more of these types of things in the future, because just quietly between you and me, I don't think people really understand how big of a deal the Hobart Mint is going to be. is going to be huge, and having items like these from early on in the story is going to be really cool. I think for people, for collectors in particular, myself included, I really enjoy having anything, understandably, from early on in a story, early on in the development of something, and items like these are precisely that. I think as the Hobart Mint continues to grow and make a significant impact on the Australian collecting scene and the bullion scene, items like these are going to be highly sought after. That's just my opinion. This is not some sort of financial advice or even a sales pitch. This is purely my honest perspective. Items like these are going to be incredibly special in terms of to have in your collection, to have one of the first 100 of anything, I always think is quite special and unique. But not only that, you've got something that ties in to the Hobart Mint story, Rosie Muriel as an artist who is incredibly talented. And then, I guess in a sense, you've also got a piece of Thompson's Coins history, because the story, despite the fact that I feel like the shop's been around for a while and this relationship with Hobart Mint, I feel like we've been friends forever in a lot of senses. The way we get on is, I don't know, it's like I said earlier, it just feels right. It feels like we've known each other forever, and we see eye to eye on a lot of really important things. When it comes to things like artwork, producing items that I think enhance a collection, this is precisely that. And so to that end, expect a lot more in the future, and I'm incredibly excited. So this is big release number 2 from Hobart Mint, being released by Thompson's Coins. I couldn't be happier. I'm very excited, and they are available now. I will keep a small selection of them available in store, because when I did the Zillion Bucks release, this is another thing. I'm forever learning and trying to refine and develop things. I released them all on the website. They sold out. It was really challenging because a lot of regulars that come into the shop who were really excited about that type of thing weren't able to get them. So I'll put a big batch of them on the website right now. You can go to the link in the description to the new arrivals section on the website, and you can get your hands on this limited edition 1 ounce silver piece from Hobart Mint. I will also have some of them specifically in store for any stragglers that you might watch this video and take a day or two to get into the store. Come on into the store. Otherwise, give us a call if you're having trouble getting your hands on it, and we'll see what we can do for you. But I cannot make any promises. I have a sneaking suspicion this will be really popular. Once again, any of these short releases from Hobart Mint, I think this is only going to pick up momentum. So I'm sorry if anyone's missed out, but I really do hope you enjoy the journey as I am with Hobart Mint, and I look forward to seeing what comes next. But for now, get into it, get your hands on an Iron Pot Lighthouse 1 ounce silver, one of the first 100. I couldn't be happier. If you enjoy collecting, the greatest hobby in the world, and if you want to come down and see one of these in person, you can visit us here. We're at Shop 8 in Boronia Mall, which is 50 Dorset Square in Boronia. We're open from Tuesday to Friday, 10 till 4, and we're also here on Saturdays from 10 till 3. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments on this new 1 ounce silver collectible from Hobart Mint celebrating the Iron Pot Lighthouse. That's it for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you soon.